We are in the middle of the R&D center here at VERVE HQ. Joining me again today is Mr. Tim.
Hey guys.
Satori Rack. Start us off. What does Satori mean?
So Satori is a Japanese word, comes from Zen Buddhist traditions. So we have our Zen Power Rack. This guy is kind of the little brother to it, and Satori in Zen Buddhism is about awakening. So, you know, on your path to Zen and enlightenment, there's a beginning point, and that's what Satori is.
From what I can see, it's not hugely different than the Zen rack. So maybe talk us through the construction and kind of the build of this rack, and then, you know, how is it actually going to kind of be put together from a gym perspective, home gym perspective?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So in terms of the actual geometry of the product itself, it's almost identical to our other racks and rigs, and it's designed to be modular and compatible with everything we do in that respect. But we recognize that there may be a hole in the market for a consumer that doesn't necessarily need that level of product. So, you know, the Satori is really a starting point on, you know, your fitness journey.
That square size, the 75 by 75, is kind of the standard onto which you can hang an awful lot of accessories.
That's right, and right down to the whole positioning on these is identical to all of our updated racks and rigs. Modularity isn't just between the attachments that go on it, but between the racks and rigs themselves. So if you have different components from different systems, everything should line up and match together.
Yeah, great. So you just mentioned the west side hole spacing. This is obviously it. For those who aren't familiar with what that is, maybe what is the benefit of this? Because obviously it's pretty visual. You can see the distance between these holes is different than these ones, but why does that matter?
So west side hole spacing are holes that are 25 millimeters apart. The rest of the holes are either 50 or on the side sometimes you have 100. You see in this section here, like where that, you know, minute adjustability is most important is for a bench press. So, you know, when you're racking your bar, you want it to be a specific distance, you know, from you to your hand position. So this gives you kind of more points of adjustability through that kind of range for a bench press movement.
And then I noticed that the lining up of the holes is kind of slightly different in terms of it's pretty accurate. Is that fairly deliberate as well in terms of the alignment of these things?
Yeah, well, especially, you know, from the front and back holes to the side holes, everything is offset at a specific distance so that if you put something in this way, it doesn't clash with something going in this way. So the bolts never kind of line up, they're always slightly offset. So that's super important.
Tim, I noticed that there's some extra flourishes on this that I don't see on anyone else's racks. Are they sideways V's?
Well, they are kind of, but they're also a greater than symbol, right? So, you know, you'll start to see us kind of proliferate this through all of our parts, tying back to, you know, our VERVE logo. So yes, it is a sideways V, but we're using it in a way that's a little bit more meaningful now.
So, you know, do you know the benefits of powder coating over paint? Like, you know, sure, there's different options on the market. We powder coat, but why do we do a powder coat?
Yeah, sure. So powder coating, yeah, it's a lot more durable. It comes down to the way it's applied. So it's a paint that has a polymer through it that's electrostatically charged. It just means that it bonds to the metal much better than a paint does. And this is the same level of premium powder coating that you'll find on the Zen rack. So no expense spared there. It is really kind of the best finish available for this kind of product.
You know, as you said, really great starting point for someone who wants to add their own accessories onto this. Can you just kind of walk me through what is included in the setup here in the Satori Rack?
Yeah, so basically it's everything you see here. So like I said, this is a starting point. We're not going to, you know, tell you what you need to, you know, attach to this thing. You know, those options are left open. So for people who are starting out, they're universal uprights now, so each one is exactly the same. There's no left or right, which is great for down the track.
Just make sure that your west side hole spacing is forward facing, not to the side. Classic mistake.
Yep. The 4 cross beams that provide the structural support, the header beam providing the lateral support, and up front we have our straight pull-up bar powder coated with the knurled grip.
And then, you know, obviously there's holes down the bottom, so if you bolt that to the floor to really become kind of a part of the furniture.
Yeah, and for some exercises that extra security is necessary, but for some it's not.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for jumping into the chaos that is the back of our R&D center.
Yeah, my pleasure.